Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of No Niche Zone, the podcast about everything. I'm your host, Priscilla Davies. And if you're joining us via video, if you're seeing us, you're not just hearing us, I'm sure you're noticing things are a little different around here. Your girl had to relocate to a new studio. That's why there was such a mix up last week. I want to say thank you so much for your patience with me. I mean, when you are literally like producing and starring in your own podcast, it's a lot of work, y'all. So, the old studio that I was at, changes happened and I had to make some changes in response to those changes. And last week I had a whole, other space set up, and I went there and complete miscommunication, like huge miscommunication. I was not able to record that day. And so I just was like, you know what, let's try this again. So I appreciate your patience with me, and don't worry, we're gonna make that episode up. We're gonna do it. We're gonna bring it back on the back end. Okay, so don't trip, y'all. I got you. But here we are in a new space. Who knows, this might be our new home base. It's really cute in here. I'm enjoying it. Guys, let's get into the show. Oh, well, he did it, guys. Donald J. Trump did it. He has officially involved the United States in the conflict going on between Iran and Israel. Oh boy, I'm sure you guys have heard by now, Trump has carried out airstrikes on 3 nuclear sites in Iran. So for those who are not hip to the hippity hop, have not been paying attention, basically Iran and Israel, they've been beefing as if Israel doesn't already have enough beef, right? But now they beefing with Iran, and they've been going back and forth, trading like airstrikes, and Donald J. Trump and the Trump administration decided to get involved. And the first thing that came to mind when I saw that was all of the comments I received. When I got on my social media and I talked about, I gave my predictions for what and mind you, I'm using the word prediction very loosely, because when I say I was making predictions, what I mean is I was literally just repeating what Donald Trump said out of his own goddamn mouth. Okay. Because it wasn't a prediction. I wasn't using any psychic abilities. I wasn't using any, of my pattern recognition. It was literally me just repeating what that man said out of his own goddamn mouth. Okay. And when I did that, when I came to social media and I talked about all the things that this man said he was gonna do, I can't help but remember how so many MAGA Republicans got into my comments to tell me, oh, well, at least he's not going to get us into war. They voted for him because they knew that he would keep us out of war. Just like the tariffs were just negotiation tactics, right? That was the tariffs, just negotiation tools. And then he actually enacted them. And then he revoked them, and then he enacted them again. But I thought they were just negotiation tools. That's what MAGA said. And now here we are. And then MAGA said that he was going to be a no-war president, keep us out of war. And look, here we are. He got American troops out there doing airstrikes on nuclear sites in Iran. Which, by the way, Iran came back and said, guess what, motherfuckers? We knew you was going to do that. We emptied those nuclear sites out. The gag is you missed us. I can't help but think about those MAGA Republicans who said we weren't going to war, that he was going to keep us out of war. He wasn't a warmonger like the Democrats. And listen, not to say that the Democrats don't be messy. They don't be out here doing nonsense like this too. But I just am curious to see where those MAGA Republicans are now. And when I say I'm curious, I'm not. I'm just hypothetically speaking, because I already know, I'm sure where they are right now is already justifying, coming up with a justification for why they support this war that Donald Trump is trying to get the United States into. I told y'all in a previous episode, Donald Trump thinks that the United States needs to be run like a business. That's why he's always talking about making deals. That's not how you're going to make a deal. Zelensky from Ukraine, you're not going to make a deal like that. That's why he's always constantly talking about making deals, okay? That's why he's sitting here and about to crash the economy. Everybody's wondering, why is he crashing? Because he's trying to crash the economy just like all of his cronies crash the businesses that they buy up and then, go in there and deplete them of everything and then file for bankruptcy to turn a profit and screw everybody who worked for that company. He's operating in that mentality. And what is better for business than war? What is better for business than war? You guys have to see what's going on in the big picture, in the lens of how that man thinks. This man thinks he's running a business and his goal is to make as much money as he can out of this business. I mean, he's shilling Bitcoin, like credit cards, Bibles, gold sneakers, like what? And then what? Oh, now he's shilling a freaking what is it? Cell phone. He's shilling cell phones now and wireless service. This man is here to make as much of a buck as possible and also stay out of jail. That's another reason why he became president again. So it's just so interesting. You have to pay attention. You gotta pay attention to things from his lens. And like I said, he's running things like a business. And the question is, what is great for business? War. And that's exactly where he's trying to head us in this country, to another war in the goddamn Middle East. We just got out of the Middle East 15 minutes ago with Obama. We just got out of there. And now we're back. We're back. Oh, boy. So that's what's been going on recently. Donald Trump is trying to ignite World War III with Russia and Israel and Iran. And, this is how dictators operate, right? Someone online was saying how, this is what they do, create endless wars so that they can distract from the nonsense that they're really doing back at home. And I actually want to talk about some of that nonsense as well in addition to. I came across this story on TikTok, and I can't believe nobody else is talking about this. And it's actually two related stories. They're two related stories about the real reason why Donald Trump is pursuing immigration so relentlessly, why he is sitting there trying to deport so many people, sending his ICE agents out into the streets. There are a couple of related stories that I'm going to talk about, and people need to be talking about this. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of the reasons why Donald Trump is trying to start World War III is to distract from things like this. So I was on my TikTok and I came across this post from Mary Trump. Mary Trump is Donald Trump's niece, okay? She is Donald Trump's niece. And she came in here to tell, and she's been railing against her uncle for a long freaking time, okay? And she is also a psychologist, by the way. So she has a unique perspective on her uncle from personally growing up with him and knowing the family history, and also from being a psychiatrist or psychologist. I don't know which one she's in, but she's in the psych field. And she has been railing and speaking out against her uncle. And this is what she posted. And I want you guys to listen really carefully.
I want to talk about something that isn't getting more coverage, and I genuinely do not understand why. This story should be on the front page of every newspaper in America, because what we're seeing looks like the Trump regime is using taxpayer dollars literally to pay back the private prison companies that bankrolled his reelection.
Did you hear what she just said? She said, it looks like the Trump regime is using taxpayer dollars to pay back the private prison companies that bankrolled his reelection. Okay? So you have private prison companies out there who loaded him up with cash so that he could be reelected, and now he's paying them back, according to Mary Trump, using taxpayer dollars. And listen to this scheme.
Private prison companies that bankrolled his reelection. And they're doing this in part by ramping up immigration arrests of non criminals in order to fill those prisons.
Did you hear? He's paying, Donald Trump is paying back the prisons who bankrolled his election by ramping up immigration arrests of non-criminals in order to fill up the prisons.
Non criminals in order to fill those prisons. If everything appears to be as it seems, this is not just unethical. It is a textbook example of quid pro quo corruption. And the most disturbing part, it seems like this has been the plan from the very beginning. So let's break down what's happening. Donald recently declared a national emergency, claiming ICE needed thousands more detention beds. So his solution? Handing out massive no-bid contracts to two of the biggest private prison firms in the country, Core Civic and GEO Group, both of which donated millions of dollars to his campaign and allied PACs. These contracts are not just large, they are grotesquely large. Core Civic secured a $4.2 million per month contract to reopen a 1,033-bed facility in Leavenworth, Kansas, a facility a federal judge once described as a hellhole due to the stabbing, suicides, and rampant abuse at that facility. GEO got a $66 million contract to reopen a shuttered prison in Georgia. These deals were awarded without any competitive bidding, bypassing standard procedure under the guise of urgent need. In order to get more detention beds, the Trump regime has modified dozens of existing agreements with contractors and used no-bid contracts, meaning the contract is automatically given to whomever Donald chooses. And when Leavenworth city officials tried to enforce a basic permitting process, the Trump regime overrode them. Local democracy lost, and corporate greed, as is far too often the case, won.
Did y'all hear that? Okay? Did you hear that? So essentially, what Mary Trump has been uncovering in her research and in her investigation is that Donald Trump got bankrolled by a bunch of prisons, and he decided to pay those prisons back for the millions of dollars that they pumped into his reelection campaign. He decided to pay them back by ramping up arrests of non-criminal immigrants to do what? Fill up the prisons. Fill up the prisons of those companies who had bankrolled his campaign. Jeez. So you wonder why all of these ICE raids, everybody, yes, part of the reason why they're doing all these ICE raids is because they want to kick black and brown immigrants out of this country. Yes, they want to keep this country a white country. Yes, they want to keep white people as the majority in this country. So that's why they're actively trying to kick out black and brown immigrants. Yes, we know that. But there's also a nefarious underbelly to what they're doing as well. And she even questions whether or not, she being his niece, Mary Trump, questions whether or not this was the plan all along. Yeah, get rid of them, but also get them in those prison beds so that we can pay back the people who bankrolled my campaign. This is wild. This man is literally trafficking people into prison using taxpayer dollars to keep them in prison because it's us who's paying for that, right? To do what? Non-criminals, mind you, to do what? to pay back his cronies and buddies who bankrolled his campaign. And did you hear where Mary Trump explained that there was no contest in these bids? There wasn't a bid. It was just Donald Trump deciding who he was going to give the contract to. And there was no checks and balances. There was no review. It was this man choosing who he was going to give that contract to. And whose dime is this on? Ours, the taxpayers. And now innocent, non-criminal immigrants are being thrown in jail. Why? Not because they need to be in jail, but because Donald Trump is trying to pay back his prison cronies who bankrolled his campaign. And his niece, Mary Trump, speculates that that is what the plan was all along. We are living in scary ass times, y'all. And it's important for people to get their heads out of the sand and pay attention to what is happening. We have a dictator at the helm who is currently trying to put us in a war and simultaneously taking innocent, non-criminal immigrants and detaining them and putting them in prisons just so that he can fill up prisons and fill up the pockets of the prison owners that bankrolled his reelection campaign. Whoo! Shit is getting scary out here, folks. Shit is getting scary out here. And this story reminded me of another TikTok that I had seen. And I'm going to play that for you.
If you're wondering why they're going after day laborers and farm workers, it's because of this. I'm an attorney, and every month I volunteer in immigration detention centers. These centers charge people $5 to make one phone call with their families. How do people make these phone calls? They work for $1 a day. I know a dad inside who has to work a full week to make one phone call with his kids. The truth is, businesses got tired of paying these hardworking immigrants the minimum wage. They want to pay people $1 a day. This was never about deporting criminals. This is about slavery.
This is an immigration attorney. That was an immigration attorney talking about what he is seeing going on behind the scenes. And from his estimation, what he's seeing is it's not about detaining people. It's about turning them into fucking slaves. Because that's what the industrial prison complex is in this country anyway, right? The prison industrial complex is modern day slavery. It's justified slavery. It's the only aspect of slavery that we didn't abolish in this country. Why? Because rich white men knew that they would be able to use prison labor to replace slave labor, and that the average American would let them do it and turn around and be like, well, you shouldn't have done something bad. You deserve to go and be treated like a slave if you did something bad. This man said that it cost them They said that it cost them $1 a day. $1 a day to make a phone call. $1 a day. They said that he said that he knows a dad who has to work a full week to make one phone call. To make one phone call to his family. A detained, undocumented immigrant. So you have people out here working for $1 a day just to be... First of all, why do these people have to pay to make phone calls? You took them. You took them off the street. So tell me, why do these people need to make phone calls? Pay to make phone calls. So this immigration attorney is telling us that undocumented immigrants who have been detained have to work a whole day to make $1. And it costs $5 to call their houses. So to make a phone call, they have to work some of them have to work 5 days in order to pay for a $5 phone call. And like he said, folks, this was never about detaining. This was never about immigration. This was never about crossing the border illegally. This is about slavery. This is about getting work out of people for the least amount of money you possibly freaking can. This is about potentially, according to Mary Trump's investigation, this is about a ex-presidential candidate paying back his campaign financiers by filling up their prisons, filling up their prisons with beds, putting people in them beds. Non-criminal immigrants in those beds. Remember when Trump was running for election and he talked about how, I'm only going to send the criminals. It's only going to be the criminals. You remember when he said that? And now here we are. Here we are 6 months into his campaign, and this motherfucker is disappearing undocumented immigrants on the street, throwing them in jails that we taxpayers pay for, and making them work for $1 a day just so they can afford to make $5 phone calls home to their family. I want you to just sit with that. I want you to take that in. So maybe this is why Trump is trying to get into war. Maybe this is one of the reasons why, because he wants to distract us from what the hell he's doing on American soil. The illegal, nefarious, straight up evil shit that he's doing. Locking away innocent people, non-criminals, just so that can you imagine being that type of person that you're willing to put a whole motherfucker in jail just so you can turn them into slave labor for your fucking homies? It shivers me timbers to think about the fact that there's people out there who don't give a second thought to doing stuff like that. It shivers me timbers that there's a whole entire class of people, white, rich men, who see nothing wrong with controlling other people's lives and turning them into fucking slave labor. Because that's what this is all about. They're trying to roll back all of the labor laws. They're trying to roll back unions. They're trying to get us back to the Gilded Age when they could be having 4-year-olds working in freaking factories sewing things together for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, and paying them 50 cents a day. While simultaneously their homie who works in real estate is charging you $60,000 a day. It's a truly scary thing if you really think about it. And it's up to us to stop these motherfuckers, But the first step to stopping someone is to be aware of it. And I think it's important for people to be aware of what is going on behind the scenes in the Trump administration. The Trump administration is trying to legalize slavery under the cover of detaining immigrants. So make sure you spread the word. Keep yourself aware of what's going on, because shit is really going down, y'all. Shit is really going down. All right, let's move on, shall we? Ladies, did you know that you can get cancer from sperm? Did you know that sperm is one of the leading causes of miscarriage? Did you know that your partner's genes can literally change you if you get pregnant by them? And that change can last well after the baby is born, into decades after the baby is born? Did you know that, ladies? Women have been lied to about pregnancy, y'all. We have been lied to. We've been told this roses and sunshine stories about pregnancy. Oh, once you see the baby, everything that you went through will be worth it. Motherhood is the best joy, the biggest joy in a woman's life. Oh, we women, that's the meaning of life, is being a mother. That's what our goal in life. That's the most important thing you can do, is be a mother. But what they don't tell you is all of the dark side of pregnancy, labor, and child rearing. And what they also don't tell you is how important it is to pick the right partner as a woman if you want to have a baby. They lie to us, and they don't tell us how freaking important it is for you to pick the right partner. Because, ladies, you can get cancer from sperm. Your partner's sperm can change you genetically if they impregnate you, and a change that can last up to decades after the child is born. It is your partner's sperm that is one of the leading causes of miscarriage. You wonder why you're having so many miscarriages. It could be because your partner has corrupted sperm. I'm going to break down all of this for you. And while I'm breaking it down, ladies, I want you to be thinking to yourself. I want you to be thinking deeper about pregnancy. And I need you to think, I want you to think about how much deeper pregnancy is than what we've been told, okay? It's not just rainbows and sunshine, all right? So let's first talk about getting cancer from sperm, okay?
So I posted a video about how I was diagnosed with cancer from my pregnancy. I made my awareness video because I wanted more women to live and more women to survive. And if I could have saved a life, God just knows I'm just so happy and so grateful that I was able to do that just through spreading awareness. But I also want to spread awareness about how important it is to choose a partner that you're with. It's a lot that comes with being a woman, and you shouldn't just be with anyone. You shouldn't just put your energy anywhere. I got cancer from pregnancy, and I almost lost my life. That is a possibility that comes with pregnancy. Though it's rare, it's a possibility. I fought my battle alone. I fought my battle enduring abuse. Abuse that I didn't deserve while I was also fighting for my life. My oncologist had also informed me that yes, the cancer is derived from pregnancy, but its origination is actually from sperm. So the father's sperm cell was actually mutated, causing this. My testimony is huge, and I just want to also just let you ladies know that choose wisely who you choose to give children to. Also choose wisely who you choose to be with, because there's a lot of power that comes with being a woman, and there's a lot that you lay on the line when you decide to give your energy to a relationship or to a man, and especially sacrifice your body to bear children. My oncologist told me that there is a huge possibility that if I didn't get pregnant by said person, that this possibly wouldn't have happened to me. So protect yourself, your energy, and don't just be out here giving anybody a baby, okay? There's a lot that can be at risk with pregnancy, and yeah.
She said, protect yourself and don't just be giving anybody out here a baby. And it's a lot, pregnancy is a lot deeper than what they tell us. When did they ever tell us in sex ed or at any point that you can get cancer from mutated sperm? When did they tell us? This content creator, her name is Uni Williams. I am Uni, UNI Williams, if you want to look her up. And she, in her caption, she broke this down a little bit more. So I'm going to read what she said. The cancer that she's referring to is called choriocarcinoma. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but There it is. Choriocarcinoma is such a rare yet deadly disease, and I just want to spread as much awareness as I can. It is a disease I had no clue about until I got it. Please, if you are a woman, please share this and know that you are potentially saving another woman's life. And so she says, yes, this is a real disease. 1 in 4,000 pregnancies. I'm sorry, 1 in 40,000 pregnancies. These pregnancies also include those that end in miscarriage, abortion, and live birth. So statistically, yes, it may sound rare, but it is also worth knowing about, given that all pregnancies are considered and we don't even know who was outside of this testing pool. Okay? This is a disease that she was able to catch before most doctors would have discovered it. And so she was able to, take care of herself and catch it before it got too crazy. But this is a disease that most women don't find until it's too late. Choriocarcinoma, okay? And this is something that she got from mutated sperm from her partner. And I think the other really important critical part of this is that it doesn't matter if you actually have the baby. You can still get this cancer from mutated sperm if you have a miscarriage, if you have an abortion. It's not just in live births, okay? So that's another risk. It's not just about having the baby. You can also lose the baby and end up with cancer. Okay. And yes, this is rare. It is rare. She says it's 1 in 40,000 pregnancies, and it is rare, but it's still something that nobody told us. Who told us that you could get cancer from corrupted sperm? Who told us that? Nobody. And I love that she learn from this experience and she's sharing it for women to pay attention to their partners and choose freaking wisely and carefully. Wisely and carefully, y'all. Trying to have children and letting your man, inside of you, even if you don't want to have kids, you gotta think a little deeper on that, okay? Ladies, I want us to be very careful about who we're letting up in them guts. Okay? Because no one told us about these possibilities, that you could possibly get cancer from their mutated sperm, which you wouldn't even know about until it happened. Also, the fact that sperm is one of the leading causes of miscarriage.
Most miscarriages actually are the result of DNA fragmentation from the sperm.
Dang, that's never talked about.
No.
We just assume it's something with the girl usually.
Exactly. And these poor women have taken blame for it for all this time, and most guys don't think about infertility. It usually gets blamed on the woman.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, the time to think about your healthy contribution as a male and the sperm is not the night that you're conceiving. It's about 7 or 8 weeks prior to that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So I looked this up. And he's referring to DNA fragmentation, okay? I'm sorry, sperm DNA fragmentation. So the fragmentation of the DNA in the sperm, okay? I looked it up. Now, he says that DNA fragmentation in sperm is the cause for most miscarriages. What I found information-wise is that it's not necessarily the cause for most miscarriages, but it is one of the leading causes for most miscarriages. And here's what I found out about sperm DNA fragmentation. That refers to breaks or damage in the DNA within the sperm cell. This damage can be caused by various factors, including oxidative stress, infections, elevated testicular temperature, and lifestyle choices like smoking or excessive alcohol consumption. While genetic abnormalities, particularly chromosomal abnormalities in the embryo, are the most common causes of miscarriages, particularly in early pregnancy, sperm DNA fragmentation also plays a significant role. Studies show that male partners of women with recurrent pregnancy loss often have higher levels of sperm DNA fragmentation. This fragmentation can lead to impaired embryo development, implantation failure, and increased miscarriage rates. Like they said in that clip, right? Like they said in that clip, it's usually the woman that we blame for miscarriages, right? Oh, something's wrong with her. But little did we know that many of the miscarriages that women are experiencing are a result of sperm DNA fragmentation. And did you note that one of the things that can cause that is lifestyle choices? Lifestyle choices, guys. Okay? So if you're sitting here trying to have a baby and you keep having miscarriages and your man is out here eating all kinds of crap, smoking all kinds of crap, drinking all day, every day, maybe that's why you can't have that baby. Maybe that's why you keep having these miscarriages, and it's not you, girl. It could be your man. It's important to pick choosely. I said pick choosely. Pick wisely. Choose wisely. Pick choosely. Yeah, be choosely about it. Pick wisely. Be very choosy about who you are trying to have babies by, ladies. You know, we minimize how important that is. We think it's like, oh, just pop out a kid. Oh, let's just have a baby. Let's just have a baby. You need to be wise about who you are having these babies with. Especially when it comes to lifestyle choices, because that might be why you're having problems carrying that baby, because your man's DNA in his sperm is fragmented from his lifestyle choices, or in general. There's other reasons behind that as well. But they don't tell us this. They don't tell us this as women. And the last thing that I mentioned was about how your man's DNA, his genes, if you get pregnant by him, his genes can change you. They can change you. And not just change you, for the time that you're pregnant, but long after the baby has been born. I'm talking upwards of decades, y'all. Did you know that?
Did y'all know while you're pregnant, the genes of the father of your children can pass on to you? What? I was just watching a video and this guy asked people in the comments what symptoms stayed with them even after giving birth to the women. And I was reading through the comments, and one lady, she is Korean and her husband is black, and she was pregnant with their children. And she said she did not have the gene of BO, but once she got pregnant and had the kids, she produces BO, and her hair went from straight to curly because of his genes. And as I'm reading through the comment, I'm like, what? And it's true, because as the cells of your babies grow, sometimes they can mutate your cells or spread to you, and you can literally ingest the father of the children's genes. My mind is blown. So this explains so much, because sometimes the way women are during pregnancy and after pregnancy, you completely change. And that's why it's so important for you to have a baby with the right person, and for that person to treat you better than ever before, because you are literally mutating. You are literally changing. Not only are you changing in order to bring life into this world, you are ingesting that person's genes, that person's cells, that person's chromosomes. If this does not put pressure on you to wait and have a baby with the right person, I don't know what else will. Be a woman before you sleep with that person, before you let that person in with absolutely no protection. I pray you see this video, and I pray you put that in your mind, that whatever and whoever that man is, you are putting him inside you. Literally, figuratively, all of the above. You're not just birthing a version of him. Him himself, his genes, his cells are also going to alter yours. Think about that. He not only is going to change your life outwardly, he's going to change your life inwardly as well.
I hope y'all were listening, girls. I hope y'all were listening. This is TikToker, it's Lucy K. It's .Lucy K if you want to look her up. And yeah, I had to look it up too. And this is what I found. While a man's genes don't change a woman's DNA in the way of mutation, the presence of his genetic material in her body during and after pregnancy can have both positive and negative effects on her health and potentially influence her behavior towards their offspring. And what this phenomenon that this content creator, It's Lucy K, was talking about is called microchimerism. Microchimerism. During pregnancy, there is a bidirectional exchange of cells and DNA between the mother and the fetus. So going back and forth. Some of the fetus's cells, including those carrying the father's genetic material, can cross into the mother's bloodstream and tissues. These fetal cells carrying male DNA, in the case of a male fetus, can persist in the mother's body for a long time, even after the pregnancy is over. This is known as fetal microchimerism. And there's some potential benefits, right? So, you can, your fetus's cells can promote tissue repair and potentially improve your immune system. But there's also some potential risks, y'all. Okay? Some of fetal microchimerism can be associated with autoimmune disease and potentially increase the risk of certain cancers. Research indicates that male DNA from past pregnancies can be found in a woman's brain, and that this may even be linked to a reduced risk of Alzheimer's disease. That's a good thing. But y'all, their DNA can get up in your brain. And it can also affect the way mothers relate to their children. Fetal microchimerism. That girl talked about how a Korean woman was married to a black man, had a baby by him, and she ended up inheriting from her baby daddy the genes of BO and curly hair from this fool. Woo child. And I don't know if you notice, but this only happens when it is a male fetus. I mean, that's how it got to be, huh? You got a boy in your body transferring his no good daddy's DNA and genes into your body and affecting you for years to come after that baby is born. If that is not a sign to you, ladies, to be very particular about whomst you are allowing to get up in them guts, whomst you are having babies for. If that's not enough to wake you up, it's not like the content creator said, it's not just, what type of children you'll have. That fool's genetics can change you for years to come after that baby is born. I want you to really take that in, ladies. I want you to really absorb that, because we have made childbirth, we've made getting pregnant, we made pregnancy, childbirth, and child rearing. We've made it so trivial. Like, oh, it's nothing. We live in this patriarchy that minimizes how important women's work is, minimize how important, birthing and carrying children are, and how much work it really entails. And so we just are so casual about it. We're so casual about getting knocked up. We're so casual about letting dudes just nut up inside of us. Not me, okay? I'm not casual. I ain't never been casual about that. But some of us are. And it's not just, and I'm not even judging y'all. It's also women who are in serious relationships. But when you're sitting here allowing these men, to get up in them guts, and you are getting pregnant by these men, or allowing them to come up inside of you, I want you to ask yourselves, do you want this man's DNA changing you? Is this, if this man's DNA came in your body and changed you, are there things about him that you would be concerned might change in you, that you would inherit from him? You need to be asking yourself, am I willing to potentially expose myself to cancer from mutated sperm behind this man who can't even put his clothes in the hamper? Who needs a list from me every time he goes to the grocery store? You guys have to be thinking about that. Do I want to be having a baby with this man who's out here smoking and drinking and partying and not taking care of himself? Am I enduring miscarriage after miscarriage after miscarriage because the man has fragmented DNA in his sperm, and I'm sitting here getting blamed for having miscarriages? You got to think about that. It's a lot deeper than, is this man fine? It's a lot deeper than, does he make money? You need to ask yourself, would I be okay with this man's DNA changing me? Would I be okay with potentially getting cancer from this man's mutated DNA? I'm sorry, mutated sperm. It's important for us, women. I love social media. I'm so happy about social media because it's allowed women to communicate with each other in an unprecedented way that we never had before, right? All we had was the male-run media pumping us women and girls full of, Disney romance, rom-com ideas about love and romance and families and pregnancy and marriage, right? And, the beauty of motherhood and all of the social narratives and the social mores and folkways that we have here, the pressure, the expectation that every woman wants to be a mother and every woman is striving to be a mother. And that even the most accomplished woman out in the world, if she doesn't have a baby, well, she just didn't cut it. She didn't make the cut, right? We get fed all of these fantastical ideas about pregnancy, and we don't get told the dirty truth about it until it's too late. That woman, I am Uni Williams on TikTok, she didn't find out she had cancer until it was too late. She didn't find out that you could get cancer from mutated sperm until it was too late, and she already had it. So y'all have to be thinking to yourselves about who you are engaging yourselves with, who you're with. It is so much deeper than just what type of child you're going to have, who's going to come out. It's so much deeper than that. Their DNA can change you. It can change you, y'all. And I mean, that lady who didn't have BO and now she got BO, that could be you. And that's just a small version of it, right? It could be a lot worse than that. So ladies, I want you to take away from this that choosing your partner is vital. If you're interested in having children, it is vital that you are picky as hell with whom you choose to have children with. If you are choosing to have children with a man, you have to be picky as hell about that, because there are so much greater implications than what we've been taught as women. What we've been taught comes along with pregnancy. Remember, that girl who got cancer from mutated sperm, she explained that you don't even have to have the baby. You can have a miscarriage. You can have an abortion and still end up with cancer from mutated sperm. So I want y'all to take that in, ladies, and really think about who you out here letting get up in them guts, okay? Because there are far-reaching implications to that, much further than what we have been taught as little girls and as women, as young women and as adults. Y'all, with that being said, I wanted to get into, I promise you guys, next week we're going to get into the rest of the documentary deep dive on the Titan submersible explosion, because I still want to get into that. So we'll get into that next episode. But Guys, we've come to the end of another episode of No Niche Zone, the podcast about everything. Make sure you follow us across all platforms at No Niche Zone Pod. You can subscribe to our YouTube. You can send in your listener letters to no niche zone at gmail.com. And you can also follow me personally at Pris the Goddess across all platforms. And folks, we'll see you next time.